Hey guys, welcome to DIY Crafts. Welcome to the playlist of Crochet Chess Set, in which you can learn how to make your own chessboard and coins. In this tutorial, I am going to show you a step-by-step pattern of making this bishop for our chess set. So, let's get started. For this, I am using a cotton 4-ply yarn and a crochet hook of size 3 mm. Now let's begin with a magic ring. Adjust the ring by pulling the tail end. Now let's start making first row. For this, make chain 1. And now into the center, make 6 single crochet stitches. That's the first one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally the 6th one. Now pull the tail end to close the magic ring and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch. For this project, I am going to work in rows instead of spirals. So this completes the first row with 6 single crochet stitches. Now let's start making round 2. Begin with chain 1 and then make 1 single crochet stitch into the same stitch. Again, make another single stitch into the next stitch. Basically, we are going to do 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch. That's the third one, 4, 5, and the 6th one. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch. Adjust the direction of your work. Now insert the hook into the first stitch and make a slip stitch, and this completes your second row with 6 single crochet stitches. Now let's start making the third row. For this, begin with chain 1. Make 1 single crochet stitch into the first stitch. Now into the next stitch, make 1 single crochet increase. That means 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. This 1 single stitch and 1 increase constitutes as 1 set. Now we are going to repeat this 2 more times. That's 1 single stitch, and here is an increase. Next, making the last set, 1 single stitch and the last increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your third row with 9 single crochet stitches. This is how it looks like after making 3 rows. Now let's start making 4th row. Begin with chain 1. Now make 2 single crochet stitches in first 2 stitches. That's 1 and then the second one. And now into the next stitch, make an increase. That means 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. That's 1 stitch, 2, and then an increase. Now repeat the pattern for 1 more time. 2 single crochet stitches followed by an increase. That's the last increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 4th row with 12 stitches. And this is the shape of the bishop. And now let's start making row 5. Chain 1. Make 3 single crochet stitches. That's 1, 2, and this is third one. Now into the next stitch, make 1 increase. Now repeat this pattern 2 more times. 1, 2, that's the second one, and the third one. And now into the next stitch, make an increase. 1 more time. That's 1, 2, 3, and into the last stitch make an increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 5th row with 15 stitches. Chain 1, and now let's start making 6th row. Make 3 single crochet stitches, that's 1, 2 and 3. And now we are going to make an invisible decrease in the next 2 stitches. That means insert the hook into the front loops of the next 2 stitches, drop a loop and then make a single crochet, and this stitch we call it as an invisible decrease. And now we are going to repeat this 2 more times, that's 2nd and 3 single stitches. And now make an invisible decrease. Insert the hook into the front loops of next 2 stitches, drop a loop and make a single stitch. That's a decrease. Again, this is the 2nd one, 3rd one, and then join the last 2 stitches using a single crochet, decrease. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 6th row with 12 stitches. Our work is slowly now taking the shape of a bishop. You can see it clearly. And now let's start making row 7. Chain 1, make 2 single crochet stitches, that's the first one, then the second one. Now we are going to join the next 2 stitches using an invisible single crochet decrease. Again 2 single crochet stitches and 1 invisible decrease. And now we are going to repeat this 1 more time, that's 2 single crochet stitches and now the last invisible decrease. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 7th row with 9 single crochet stitches. And now let's start making 8th row. For this, make chain 1 and 1 single stitch into the same stitch and then make an invisible decrease. Repeat this 2 more times, 1 single stitch followed by 1 invisible decrease, and 1 more time, 1 single stitch and in the last 2 stitches make an invisible decrease. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 8th row with 6 stitches. This completes the head part of bishop. Now stop it here and let's add some stuffing into the head part. Firstly, insert the tail end into head and then take good amount of fiber fill and stuff it into the head part. I am using a bigger needle to put the stuff into it, and I found this so helpful while working smaller parts of amigurumis. Hope you may find it helpful too, so give this a try. Take a good amount and put the head completely full, and now it perfectly holds the good shape. And now let's start working on the next row. Chain 1, and now let's start making row 9. For this, begin with chain 1 and now insert the hook only into the front loops of 8th row, and now make 1 single crochet increase, that means 2 single crochet stitches going into the same stitch. Now repeat this pattern of making 2 single crochet stitches in each of the front loops of 8th row. And while working this on only front loops, this gives an added detailing for the project and the shape will look more appropriate to the real ones. And now we are going to work on the last one, that's the 10th one. And now finally that's the 11 and 12. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 9th row with 12 single crochet stitches. You can now see the shape of the bishop. Now chain 1 and let's start working for row 10. Insert the hook only into the back loops and make one single crochet stitch throughout the row. Just one single stitch throughout the row. Now we are going to make the last single stitch. Now make a slip stitch, and this completes your 10th row with 12 single stitches, and this front loops leaves a small detailing line. Now chain 1 and into the back loops we are going to start working 11th row. We are going to make a single crochet decrease. It's not an invisible decrease, it's just a normal single crochet decrease. So drop a loop from the back loops of next 2 stitches. Now yarn over and draw through all the 3 loops on the hook. That's a single crochet decrease. We have to make 6 single crochet decreases throughout the row, which means this reduces 12 stitches to 6 stitches. This is the 5th single stitch, and finally making the last single stitch decrease. Make sure you maintain the good tension on the thread so the stitches will get closer without leaving gaps for any holes. Make a slip stitch, and this completes your 11th row with 6 single stitches. Now add stuffing into this small body part of the bishop. Take a little amount of fiber fill and put the stuff into it using a bigger needle. We will add stuffing to the project at regular intervals as it helps us to maintain the good shape of our project instead of putting all the stuff at the end. So once the body part is full with the fiber fill, you can see the shape of the bishop. It's the center piece. And now let's continue with the pattern. Begin with chain 1 and make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch. It's just one stitch in each and every stitch. So by the end of the 12th row we'll have 6 single crochet stitches. Make sure you maintain a proper tension on your fingers, so this helps to reduce the holes. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes the 12th row. Now let's start making 13th row. Begin with chain 1. Make one single crochet stitch in first stitch, and in the next stitch make one increase. And now repeat this pattern 2 more times. Single stitch and then increase. One single stitch and then the last increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your 13th row with 9 stitches. Now chain 1 and make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch. This is the beginning of 14th row. Make one single stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Now I am making the last single crochet stitch, and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch. This completes the 14th row with 9 single stitches. Now chain 1 and let's start row 15. Make 2 single crochet stitches, that's the first one and the second one. And now into the next stitch make one increase. That means 2 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. Repeat this pattern 2 more times. 2 single stitches followed by one increase. That is an increase. Again one more time. And now we are going to make the last increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your row 15 with 12 single stitches. And chain 1 and make 1 single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. And this forms the row 16. Now make the last single stitch and make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes row 16 with 12 stitches. Now chain 1 and let's start row 17. For this, make 3 single crochet stitches. That's the first one, 2 and 3. And now into the next stitch, make an increase. That's a single crochet increase. Again one more time. That's 1, 2 and 3 single stitches. And now in the next stitch, make 1 increase. Repeat this one more time. 3 single stitches followed by an increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes the row with 15 stitches. Chain 1 and make 1 single crochet stitch in each and every stitch. Just 1 single stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Now I am making the last single stitch of 18th row, and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your row 18 with 15 stitches. Now chain 1 and let's start making round number 19. You have to make 4 single crochet stitches. That's 2, 3 and 4. Now in the next stitch, make an increase. Again 4 single crochet stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then make 1 increase. Now do it one more time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally the last increase. Now make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your round number 19 with 18 stitches. Now for row 20, chain 1 and make 1 single crochet stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Just 1 single stitch throughout the row. Now making the last single stitch, and then make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes row 20 with 18 stitches. Now we are going to close the project, and for this row 21 we are going to work only into the back loops. For this, insert the hook into the back loop. Begin with chain 1. Insert the hook into the back loop and then make 1 single stitch in the first stitch. Now into the next 2 stitches, make 1 single crochet decrease. That's the normal single crochet decrease which we have discussed earlier. 1 stitch followed by 1 decrease, and we have to repeat this pattern throughout the row for 6 times, which brings down the total number of stitches from 18 to 12. Repeat this pattern 3 more times until you reach the starting point. Here I am making the last single crochet decrease, and this make a slip stitch into the first stitch, and this completes your row 21 with 12 stitches. Now stop it here and add stuffing to the bottom part of the bishop. Adjust the shape and now take a little amount of fiber fill at a time and stuff it into the project. spread it evenly at regular intervals so it will hold the good shape. Once check the shape of the bishop, and if you feel that stuffing is enough, stop the filling. And now let's continue to make the last row. Chain 1, and now make invisible decreases for 6 times. Insert the hook into the front loops of the first 2 stitches. Oh, it's a little bit challenging. Just release the hook a little bit and insert the hook into the first front loop of first 2 stitches. Drop a loop and make a single stitch. That's the first invisible decrease. Now I'm going to make the second one. That's the second one. Insert the hook and drop a loop. That's the third invisible decrease. Here is the fourth invisible decrease. Fifth. And now make the last single crochet invisible decrease into the last 2 stitches, and now pull up the stitches, make a last slip stitch. Make a slip stitch into the first stitch, chain 1 and trim the excess thread by leaving a little long tail, and which we will use it to close the project and to add a little detailing to it. Fasten off. And now to get the flat base of the project, I am going to use the tapestry needle, and again it's a little bit lengthier one. I'm taking the longer one. And now add the finishings to the project as shown. Now insert the needle into the front loops of all the 6 stitches in 22nd row. After running the yarn through all the loops, pull the tail end gently to close the opening and then make a knot. After making the knot, run the needle through the center of the project from bottom to the top as shown. It has to come at the center exactly. Now pull the tail end gently to give the flat base. Hold it still and make a knot on the top of the bishop to secure the work. Just insert the needle into the nearby stitch and make a knot as shown, that is close to the head, and this knot adds up to the top part of the bishop. Now insert the needle through the project, remove the needle, adjust the top portion lightly, remove the needle and trim the excess thread. And this completes the pattern of making bishop for our chess set. We have to make a total of 4 pieces for chess, 2 in one color and 2 in another color. Now to add the additional support to the coins, we have to attach watchers at the base using a hot glue gun, or we can sew them together. I hope you all enjoyed watching this tutorial. Do give this pattern a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Keep watching the playlist to get all the patterns for this chess set. See you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it and subscribe to DIY Crafts.